Hello, and welcome to Marketing Solutions for Local Businesses, the podcast where you will discover all the latest and greatest digital marketing tools, tips, and strategies you will need to implement in order to stay ahead of your competition. If you are not getting the results you are looking for from your digital marketing efforts, this is the podcast for you. And now, here's the host of our show, the local business guy himself, Frank Deming.
Hello, everyone. This is Frank Deming, the local business guy, and welcome to another episode of Marketing Solutions for Local Businesses. Happy Wednesday. Happy hump day, everybody. Hope everybody is having a great month of June thus far. I know we're early on, but, everyone's, at least here in New Jersey, everyone's feeling like we're getting back to normal, and people are walking around without masks and they're looking all happy. And it's interesting to walk into an establishment and see people sitting at the bar and actually, I don't know. It's an interesting feeling. Hasn't been like this for a year and a half. So I'm not complaining. Anywho, let's get into the topic at hand. Today, I want to talk to you guys about something it came about because I was actually trying to talk to one of my attorney clients about, and I was helping them with their marketing. He's a consultant client of mine. So I was helping them create personalization in their marketing. So they felt that, they didn't really believe in that, but I finally was able to convince them that this is something very powerful. So I said, you know what, this is a great topic for my show, hence the reason why I'm talking about it today. And today I'm going to show you 6 ways to personalize your marketing. Personalization of marketing is very, very essential for the success of your marketing efforts, especially from a digital marketing standpoint. And especially if you're small businesses whom I work with all the time. So, don't ever think that you cannot personalize your marketing. Because you can, and there's some steps that you can do, and I walk them through it, and I'm going to do the same for you. So I want you guys to really, really pay attention here. Take some notes. I'm not going to be as long-winded as I usually am sometimes on this episode, on this show. But I want you guys to take copious notes and actually do this stuff, because this stuff is powerful. We do it all the time, and I want to help you guys do it. Okay. So without further ado, let's get into the topic at hand. The first thing that you have to do when you're starting to personalize your marketing is you got to gather data. Duh, Frank, right? Of course you got to gather data, especially if you haven't done it, right? But that's pretty obvious. But here's what I mean. You got to gather data, as much data as you can from the customers. You have to use this segment. You have to use this to segment your audience, okay? And then it's going to help you personalization later, okay? So the more data that you can get, the better, okay? And what I mean by gather data, so, because I'm sure you're going to ask the same question that my client asked. Well, how do I do that? Take surveys. It's a great way to gather data. Okay. If you notice, a lot of places ask you for surveys. Even physical locations. You go to a restaurant to ask for a survey. You go to you shop at any place. You can go to Target, they get surveys. What are they doing? They're gathering data. And the data is not necessarily all the time just to improve their services or improve, hey, I want to improve our processes, so I'm going to gather this data. It's not always all about that. I mean, yes, I would say 50% is that. But the other 50%, what are they doing? They're personalizing themselves. They want to send you specific information that you like. Okay? So this is what I mean by, you got to gather as much information as you can, especially when you do it once. And I can recommend this process, this whole 6-step process. I can do, and it all depends on your audience, of course, and how many people come through your door, whether you're a dentist, a lawyer, whatever. I would say you have to do this every 5 years because you want to see how consistent your data is. Now, if it's a lot of people coming through, you want to do it sooner, like maybe every 2 years, even every year. But most people that I work with are small businesses. You're good with 5 years. You're good with 5 years. So, all right, move on. Let's start with number one. Number one is gather data. Number two, you want to use buyer personas. Now, I'm going to spend a little bit of time with this because this is a critical piece, the number two piece. Okay, once you have enough data from step one, gather data, you have to take time to create buyer personas, okay? And these are like representations of your typical target audience. So you want to really dig deep and spend time here because this is a very important piece for later, and you'll see why as I go through the content today. So they should include information like gender when you do buyer personas, age, other demographics like their goals and why they want your service. Stuff like that is very important because you want to see who your buyers are, and you're going to be dividing them up. Okay. You want to create as many buyer personas as you need to fully represent who your audience is. Okay. That is key. Don't go for, 50% of the people answered it this way. Hence, this must be my buyer persona. No, don't do that because then you're going to limit yourself later. Create as many buyer personas as you need to fully represent your audience. Then, if you are, I'll give an example. So, if you're like I want to pick a niche that I rarely talk. I talk a lot about lawyers and dentists and chiropractors on the show. Let me pick a niche that I rarely talk about. Okay, so I'm going to give you an example of creating more buyer personas outside of my normal examples. If you are, say, a small business selling jewelry, okay, and let's say you have two buyer personas. There may be someone who buys, say, jewelry for themselves, and then there's another buyer persona of someone who buys jewelry for someone else. And people say, well, Frank, it doesn't matter. They're buying jewelry. No, it does matter. Okay? Because you're going to market to the person who's buying jewelry for someone else differently than the person who buys jewelry for themselves. Okay? So that's the important thing. And this is what we miss out on. This is what we miss out on when we're marketing. And again, you're going to understand what I mean by all of this later on as I go through the steps. See, as you create your marketing, that's so critical. And again, we'll talk about that. Anyway, number 3, you want to create targeted content, and this is where we get downright funky with it, man. I love it. This is especially with today's platforms that we have available to us. You are going to use those buyer personas that we just created to create targeted content for each group of the consumers, of the customers. Okay, you want to create Google ads, Facebook ads, and other major platforms that you will advertise. That that wherever you advertise. I suggest start Google and Facebook for sure. And then you're gonna target those people and speak different messages per persona. So if you've got 10 personas, for instance, you have to create 10 different messages and speak to that persona that is going to that's going to attract that audience. That's it. And like there's really no magic to it. But that's as simple as I can explain it to you. So I hope you guys are getting this, because this is very key. The first 2 steps are critical before you do this. Before you create any content, you have to know who you're talking to. Because and then make sure that you put your ads in front of those people. Okay? The right people, that is. Okay? And more people will come through your door doing that. But this is a very critical piece. I hope this makes sense. As always, we always offer marketing consulting for small businesses. So if there's anything at all that you find a little bit confusing about what we're talking about today, or any topic on the show, you know how to reach us. 888-416-7752. And then we'll get together on the phone. We'll schedule something and move on. Okay. So now here's where we get steps 4 and 5. This is where we're going to make sure that we get a little aggressive. Okay. And here's what I mean. So step 4 is use retargeted ads. For those of you who don't know who retargeted ads are, is for anyone who has ever landed on your website, you can actually retarget them and maybe show them another ad differently in some other place. Okay. And until they buy, because as you know, it takes about 8 to 16 touches for someone to see something before they make a buying decision. That's a lot of statistics that are saying all of these things. That's very important for you to know. So it's another type of personalization that can do wonders for you guys. Okay, just retarget. It could do wonders for it. This refers to you when you target people who have already seen this stuff. Like I said before, the most common example of, like, say, retargeted ads is showing products that a customer has previously bought. Okay. That's a very good. So if, for instance, going back to the jewelry example, let's just say let's say that persona type is the buyer persona type is someone who buys jewelry for someone else, and you notice this gentleman bought an ankle bracelet for somebody. Most likely, it's not for him. He probably bought it for his girlfriend or something like that, right? Or his wife. So around that same time next year, because it could have been an anniversary gift, it could have been, you don't know what it was for, right? But you can show them similar items of people, maybe a bracelet, maybe a necklace or something like that. You can show them those ads right around the time that they did that, the year before, or you can separate like every 3 months, because guys, like, I'm one like that. Every 2-3 months, I like to get my girlfriend some kind of gift or something to that nature. So that would work on me. Something like that. If I bought her something, maybe a bracelet, an ankle bracelet, or whatever it is, and then say 2 or 3 months later they show me something else that I may be interested in, that means they've done their targeting correctly, their audience matching, if you will, correctly. So that's an example. I wanted to go back to the jewelry example to show you how powerful this retargeting thing can be. But again, none of this stuff works unless you do steps 1 and 2. So it all works together, okay? So you can do all the retargeting you want in the world, but if steps 1 and 2 are not done, forget about it. All right, so number 5 is you want to use multiple content delivery types. And it goes a little bit of what we said earlier, okay? But I want to talk to you about 3 at least right now. You can use email marketing. So if they're your customers, you probably have their email. You can probably segment them via that way. You can probably segment them in your email, whatever email platform you use. They always have some kind of segmentation program. So start segmenting them as you collect this data. If you haven't done it, because a lot of people just lump these things together, and that's great. You can do that. But if you want to start personalizing your marketing, which is what we're talking about right now, you want to start thinking about segmenting them. That way you're sending them different emails that's catered to them, emails that they are interested in. Again, when you create content topics, if let's go back to the jewelry. Let's go back to the jewelry example. If I'm a person that buys stuff for me, and you're showing me stuff that's something that I should buy for someone else, I probably will not be as interested in opening that email as if that content was solely on something else. This is why we got to nail this down, because you want to show them the most relevant content it is for them. So I would suggest start segmenting your email list today, and then that way you can start using this topic of personalized emails. Another thing will be personalized text message. Text message marketing is is a rising thing right now. A lot of people are using it. A lot of people love it. So start using it. And with text messages, you can also do the same thing with the email marketing. You could do the segmenting of your list with the text message program. It works pretty similar to how email marketing works. And if you're not doing this, if you're not doing text message marketing yet, then this is easy for you to segment it, because you can start out the right way. Okay. And then just send the right text message at the right time to the right audience. Simple. Okay. Excuse me, guys. Got a frog in my throat. I don't know what's going on this morning. Anywho, so we've got the last thing is you want to personalize ads, and we talked about this already, but I think it's worth mentioning again. You can actually personalize your Google AdWords messaging and your social media ad messaging based on who is who, and segmenting those audiences within those platforms takes a little bit of work. I mean, it's not rocket science or anything like that. It's not as trivial as people think. But once you have that down and you have that practice, you're good to go. Okay, so number 6, last but definitely not least, you want to localize your social media efforts. You should hopefully have a social media marketing strategy in place. Okay, first of all, before we even go into this content, you have to have a social media marketing in place. Because this is yet another opportunity for you to personalize your marketing. So in this case, your main priority will be personalizing the page and your post to focus on an area, let's say. So if your area is dedicated, has a dedicated local page, let's say, join and engage with locals using that page. Very important. We talked about this with my attorney client where we localized this. You know, he became the attorney of his local area and just provided some rich content for people in that local area. Okay. So now you're going to make sure that you're going to comply with all the terms before you do this. Okay. And that is very powerful because if your audience is local to you, that's, people are going to see you as the go-to person in your local area. And if you have done everything up above, not only you're the go-to person in your local area, you've also identified who your buyer personas are, and you can pinpoint different aspects of their personalities, and you can market to them a lot more directly. So before I let you go, I want to go through the 6 one more time, because I really want you guys to nail this down, and I want you guys to do this. Remember, we're talking about 6 ways to personalize your marketing. Okay. Very, very, very important. Before I let you go, I want you guys to really understand and jot this down. So number 1, you got to gather data. Do surveys. Very important. A lot of people do them. They do. Even the major corporations do them. They do it for a reason. Okay. So there's no reason why the small corporations can't. Number 2, you want to, use buyer personas. What is their gender, demographic, goals, yada, 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 yada. Number 3, create target content. Number 4, you want to use retargeted ads. Number 5, you want to use multiple content delivery types. How are you going to deliver your content? Use multiple. And I just gave you 3 examples. Okay, just 3 really simple examples. I mean, there are a plethora of more, but I just want to give you those 3 that are working today. 6, you want to localize your social media efforts. Hit social media hard on those local groups or whatever, or you create your own local groups and be the community leader. So with that, folks, that ends this episode. If you have any questions about this episode, or if you are looking for any help with this kind of stuff, we would love to give you some help with it. It can become a little bit confusing from time to time, so that's why we're here to help. 888-416-7752, or you can send us an email at info@lbmsllc.com. So that's it for today, guys. Until next week, this has been Frank Deming, the local business guy, and I will see you next week. Take care, and bye for now. Peace out.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Marketing Solutions for Local Businesses, the podcast where you will discover all the latest and greatest digital marketing tools, tips, and strategies you will need to implement in order to stay ahead of your competition. Don't forget, any links that were mentioned during the broadcast will be available to you in the show notes, so be sure to grab them while you have the chance. Incidentally, if you have any topics that you would like for us to discuss on the show, be sure to send an email to the email provided in the show notes, or click the Contact Us link and let us know what topic you would like us to help you with. and we'll be sure to add it to our schedule. If you would like for Frank and his team to look at your digital marketing presence and give you a free evaluation, simply click the Request a Free Consultation link in the show notes to get a hold of them. That being said, until our next episode, make it a successful digital marketing day. Peace out.